Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sochi. If you are new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can keep up with all of my videos. And today I wanted to do another, we'll put it under the category of foundation review, but it is the Fenty Eaze drops. So these are like skin tint blurring ease drops. I know I was excited when I saw these. It's like, do I need to? And when it comes to Fenty, usually I do. So I picked up mine, and once again, I've mentioned it before, but Fenty prices are great compared to regular Sephora prices. I feel like they're like they're like kind of aligned with like MAC, where their foundations might be like $30. This one's $29.50 as compared to a typical average Sephora foundation like $45 or so. So I'm always excited. So I picked up the Fenty. This is their Eaze Drops Blurring Skin Tint in the shade number 7. And for these, Fenty is known for having, you know, a large range. But when it comes to skin tints, tinted moisturizers, in general, they're usually like limited. They're supposed to kind of morph with like your skin and work in a certain way. Feel like similar here. So they have about maybe like 25 shades as opposed to their regular like 50 shades for their Pro Filter hydrating foundations and the regular Pro Filter foundation. But so far I feel like this one works really well with my skin tone, so if you're close to me. Also, I picked up another Fenty Pro Filter concealer. I had like a lighter shade. I was like, this is way too light, we can't do this. I need something closer to my skin tone, especially if I wanted to like pair it with this. So I have the shade 240, and super excited, I finally picked up, I had been eyeing this for like over a year now, the Fenty Cream Bronzer, because I have just been loving like my cream contour stick. So I picked up the cream bronzer, and I use the shade 02 Butter Biscuit. This is like the second shade from the lightest, and I think it works. I'll show you guys how it looks on my skin, and I don't know, I could even go like a number 3, especially for like a summer, but let's get into the skin tint. $29.50, shade number 7. Okay, so I have been experimenting with the skin tint. Usually I do like the first impressions and everything, but Fenty, I wanted to, especially because I feel like my first time, really, it was something going on with my skin. For reference, I have very, very dry skin, and something was going on like with my skincare, like and this was going on throughout the week with other foundations, which is why I was like, okay, this is not the Fenty. Like, it just felt really dry, and if you have dry skin, you probably felt this, where it just felt like so stretched, like even like a smile, like it just felt so tight. I was like, okay, something's going on, let me fix this. So I've been working on my skincare to really just give this the best chance. So I'm really gonna see today at my best for my skin, like how it's really going to go. But I've got a couple tips from experimenting with it, so we are good. I have washed my face, hydrated, plumped my face. If you're dry skin, I would highly suggest that for this foundation. I don't think I've seen too many dry skin ones reviews. It's usually oily skin people, and you know, so we'll see. But I'm prepped, plumped. The only thing I'm really going to do here, the biggest difference that I'm going to do, because I have been experimenting with it, is on this side of my face I use my e.l.f. Luminous Putty primer, and just all around in general. So this side really only has my Good Molecules priming moisturizer, so kind of like my moisturizer that doubles as a primer, but to see does it work better with an actual primer, we shall see. Now, normally when I do foundation reviews, you guys see me do a brush and a sponge, and I have used a brush and a sponge, and I'm honestly going to do the way that works best for me, which is neither of these. These work well, they work fine. But I would say the biggest difference is the brush is going to give you more of that coverage. The sponge is going to soak up. But for dry skin, honestly, what I have found that works the best, and for those of you who, if you're a Virgo, you're OCD, you might not like this or something like that, is using your hands. Like, that has honestly been the best way for dry skin, because I feel like there's almost, because maybe it works for like oily and normal skin really well, it almost sits on top of the face if I do like the other two ways, as opposed to, I feel like with my hands, it really warms this up and really lets it sink in to my skin, because I am so dry. So I really need something to like melt into my skin. I probably didn't need that much either, but this honestly has been the best way. I know I'm not usually a fan, but especially if you're in a rush, screw it. So this And this is me trying it with like my skin hydrated. So I feel like the color really adjusts. And that was super quick and easy. So if you don't have any tools, if you're dry skin, just use your hands, honestly. This has just been, I felt like the best way that it really gives it the most natural look and sinks into my skin. And honestly, today we'll see. I think I'll finally get my final true verdict on this foundation. I should have done half of my face, but look at that already. Like, it's supposed to blur. It's not supposed to be extreme coverage. It's supposed to be lightweight, which it is. It definitely feels, the more I've been using it, nice and lightweight. It doesn't feel like tacky. Also doesn't have like any strong smell, so if you're sensitive, but that was super easy. So I like this face already better than my other face. And when I use this foundation, I just make sure I have like baby wipes or something, especially because like all of the covers are like white. And that's why I minimize it, but if I have any areas maybe I want to cover, I could just go in with my concealer. And I'm just going to use it for the eyes. And once again, you can go in with the concealer with your fingers too, but oh look, I have like an acne scar there, so if you see that come off, that's just been happening like all week. But and you can just go in with your hands too. Honestly, if you want the most coverage, I've found that as well. So just like pats it in. But since we've got a lovely little sponge, pretty good. Oh, yeah, that's looking really, really nice on the skin. The question for me though, as it goes on through the day, is how hydrating does it stay on my face? If you want, for me, that's why I use my hands. If you want the most hydrating results looking, especially upon applying, that's why I would suggest using your hands. So let me just set the concealer because I have very dry, not dry, yeah, I do have dry. My under eyes tend to crease. Let me just get my brows on and we'll be back for bronzer, but already looking better. I had a lot of redness around my face. It's a nice, natural, easy. Okay, we have brows and lashes on and the foundation. For me, the foundation still isn't ready because I like to kind of hydrate it, spray it. And I've also experimented with that too. But before we do, let's go in with the Fenty Cream Bronzer. Spoiler alert, I love this. I think especially for like the quick glam, simple, minimalistic, natural. I haven't tried it with this brush, but I like this. But yeah, just, I could go shade darker, but for like a really natural type of bronzer, I like this shade. Yeah, you don't need to go too dark. And it's so easy. I think for dry skin, if you haven't tried a cream bronzer, you totally should. It's definitely my favorite. It sits on the face really nicely. Sits on this foundation really nicely. I would hope so. And it's so easy just to kind of like press onto the face, blend out. So if you feel like usually you don't blend it out as well with like powder, I like this option. And I feel like it's even quicker. It's almost like just like stamp it on and go. It just looks so natural. Yeah, this shade's really good. The summer shade, my summer shade, I'm gonna have to go shade up. But that's pretty much it. Let me comb my hair. I will come back with lipstick, and this is how everything looks before I spray my face. And I'll show you the two options that I use for dry skin to spray my face. All right, for lipstick, let's keep it Fenty, and I'm gonna go in with my Fenty Gloss Balm in Fenty Glow. I almost got one of like their cream ones. Oh, I missed you, my darling. Maybe next time. If I need to get one of the cream ones, let me know which one. So here is my face. Basically, it's for dry skin. It definitely feels like a very satin finish, not overly matte. This is actually looking really good. I feel like it definitely was, my skin was just not liking something in my skincare routine at the time. So we've rehydrated. Now to hydrate and really fully, in a sense, set my face, I need some sort of spray. I am dry skin, and I should have ordered that Fenty, the dewy, kind of like their like Max Fix Plus, their dewy skin spray. I should have, just to see, since it's within the line. But the two things in general, you'll always kind of see me use my Max Fix Plus. But honestly, for the Fenty Eaze drops, because it is more of like a skincare type product, skin tint, tinted moisturizer, what I have found for me to give me even more hydration, like in general, even just beginning during the day, and I just kind of see a little bit more of a glow from it, is the Mario Badescu facial spray with aloe, herbs, and rose water. So you can go either way, but weirdly enough, I'm gonna go the more like minimalistic route. And I also waited for my mascara to dry. So you can go in with that. If you want to extend the wear your foundation, I'll also go in with some Milani Make It Last spray. So, but the rose water is really just gonna help melt any of the, I want to say powderiness, but when it's not a foundation meant for dry skin, like it's just gonna help melt it into the skin a little bit. So I even use this. I use this after I wash my face. I put on moisturizer. I put on my Good Molecules silicone free moisturizer. So that's all that's on this side of the face. So we'll see. And then this one has the actual primer. And then I went in with my Good Molecules rose hip oil. I went in with another layer of my moisturizer, and then I set it with this before I did foundation. So I have been going above and beyond for my dry skin because it just needs that moisture. And this is the Milani Make It Last setting spray. So for me, I'm really going to see now with this kind of added boost of hydration to my skin how this is really going to go, because honestly, my initial thoughts the last couple times I've been trying it was just that it's maybe just not hydrating enough for dry skin. It is a springtime in Chicago, so it doesn't really mean much, especially since today's Thursday. On Tuesday, we apparently had snow again. It's dipping down to the 40s and the 30s. Now getting back up to like the 50s, especially next week, 60s, who knows? So it's kind of all over the place, so my skin hasn't really gotten that chance to really feel the maybe any humidity from like the spring or stuff like that. So, but here's how it looks with the sprays. I much prefer already looking even more hydrated, but how I know it's not super duper hydrating, or I wonder this is going to be the kicker, is my nose and my forehead. Whereas oily skin people, they tend to have like an oily T-zone there. That's where I get really dry. So it's kind of sitting on top of it. I did have like an acne scar scab thing, so that could be why. But like my forehead too, it's not like fully, like here it looks good, here it looks good, but like if you zoom in, like, I mean, who's gonna be that close, because we shouldn't, but my cheeks look good. Yeah, so it is like 8:40 a.m. So I'm gonna wear this throughout the workday. I'll probably do a check-in maybe around like 1 p.m. or something, around like the 4-hour mark, and then I'll do one maybe around the 8 or 9-hour mark. But so far, like, this looks really good. It's more so about how does this wear throughout the day. So I'll be back after lunchtime. All right, it is 1 p.m. so I wanted to do our like 4-hour check-in with the foundation. It's definitely looking more luminous, and I would honestly attribute a lot of that to the Mario Badescu spray, some sort of spray if you are dry skin, and it looks good. It's until I get really close, maybe you can kind of see where maybe it's not as hydrated. Like I said, nose and on the forehead area. Everywhere else around the face is really good, but that for me as dry skin just kind of indicates it's not quite hydrating enough for dry skin, but like low-key is still really good overall. Like, it's not bad. It's not, for dry skin, it's not bad. Honestly, normal to oily skin, this is probably gonna be like perfection. but overall my skin looks really good. So I know that there was definitely some like issues that I had to like plump up and refresh my skin, because this is like the best it's looked so far, as I was specifically, you know, focusing on my skincare. So sometimes, even if you're normal or oily and maybe you're like, oh, I don't know, it just doesn't feel hydrated enough, it should. But a lot of the times with foundations, it usually goes back to, well, how well are you doing with your skincare? And I wasn't doing too well, but I've been on top of it and it looks really good. Very natural. It's not tacky. It's not sticky. I forget I'm wearing foundation. Doesn't feel heavy at all, but it's still, if anything, overall my face, it's still like blurring. It is like covering the redness around my face. Concealer's looking good. You can see a little bit of the bronzer. Should I get one shade deeper? I don't know. Like, this works for Supernatural, but maybe if I want something a little bit heavier, but I'm going for natural anyway. I might, just because of the summer in general, if I get outside and stuff. But I mean, so far so good still. Like, this is still really good. I would just like just a little bit more hydration. But I mean, if this kind of all around is supposed to cater to all skin types, that's still really good. Because a lot of foundations, tinted moisturizers, all of those things try to cater to all of them, and they tend to miss the mark on a dry skin, because if not, it's going to be too oily for oily skin, you get me? But for all skin types, I would say so far, yeah, it's doable. But we'll do our final roundup to see how it looks after like an 8-hour wear or something. All right, welcome back. It is about 6:30. I only had 2 coffees today. I think I need a Monster. No, I'm going to try to chill. But I wanted to do my final check-in. And honestly, just looking at here, even looking into my mirror here, mostly here, it looks good. But let me show you or tell you what I see. I have dry skin. It looks good for dry skin after 9.5 hours now, right? If I can math correctly. From almost 9 a.m., like 8:40, 9 a.m. to now. Oh my God, I'm an old lady. But how much will it be? So, not bad. So, it's actually looks better the more that I prep my skin. And honestly, when it comes to coverage wise, blurring, and just having it being so minimalistic, it's amazing. I freaking love this and that. I feel like that's what I'm leaning towards in general. That's what the makeup industry is leaning towards. I never thought I would be like, yeah, give me a little skin tints, just a little bit of, you know, coverage, minor coverage, evening out the skin. Like, that's all I want. I never thought that would be me. But I've never been so excited for a skin tints, tinted moisturizer that does that. If you have normal to oily skin, absolutely get this. I think you're gonna love it. You're gonna fall in love with it. This is gonna be your new best friend, especially if you're just trying to do the bare minimum. And even I, who have had a little bit more redness, I've had more like acne scarring and just like, you know, kind of unevenness around the skin, it's wonderful for it in general. And let me just see if there was a difference. Actually, interesting. So this side, the right side of my face, where I did go in with the e.l.f. Luminous Putty Primer, does not look as luminous as my other side, where I pretty much just, you know, did my regular skincare routine, which is all over my face, and just used my Good Molecules silicone-free priming moisturizer. If you guys have not tried this, you totally should. I'm almost done with this one. I've already repurchased another bottle, but I love this for like a 2-in-1. Primer and moisturizer. Especially, I wanted to do this experiment with the Eaze drops because I feel like it's a tinted type of a moisturizer, kind of a deal, tinted foundation. So it's kind of like in the skincare realm. So I was like, I probably don't need as much prep, but I'm curious what a primer would do. Honestly, skip the primer. Get a moisturizer and primer in one, because this side actually looks a little bit drier than this side, which looks definitely a little bit luminous, healthy. A big contributing factor was the facial spray, the Mario Badescu, specifically a hydrating one. If you have the Max Fix Plus, go ahead and use it. But I feel like this makes a bigger difference in how it shines, illuminates with like that natural skin type feel. Now for dry skin, if you're in the Midwest like me, and you really do want to try this, it's good. I think it's good for dry skin. it's not great. I feel like this is kind of my experience that I had with the Fenty Pro Filter foundation, where it was a good product. It just wasn't the right product for dry skin. But Fenty kind of answered that little prayer for us with the Fenty Pro Filter Hydrating Foundation. They catered, they heard us dry skin girls, and they came out with this one, and it is absolute perfection for dry skin. Like, honestly, I think for me personally, I'm in the Midwest. It's not exactly humid here. We're not getting the best weather, but it did pretty well. But I feel like just like the areas like my T-zone and my nose, and just even around here, where normally with oily skin, if a foundation is too dewy or like too hydrating, it slips off the face. For me, it like cracks and dries up off the face, but this is still doing really good for something that's not as hydrating as I would like. Like, this is okay. But for sure, you know, like, I have high expectations for my foundation. It doesn't perform like the Fenty Pro Filter Hydrating. This one is, oh, I can't even. If you're between the three and you have dry skin, definitely lean towards the Pro Filter Hydrating Foundation. You're going to love it. And just use minimal product. Just start in the center and just like dab all around. You probably get kind of similar results, but just it's going to last. It's going to look even better. So what I'm hoping is, I wanted to put this video out here to tell Fenty, can you do this exact same thing? I just need a little extra hydration for dry skin, and honestly, it would be perfection. Now, for my dry skin girls who are actually in warmer climates, better type of all year round weather, like especially if you're in Florida, it's like humidity central. This might actually work really, really well for you if you have dry skin. I think this will be great because like your skin's getting that humidity it needs all year round. I need to get like low-key one of those like facial spa humidifiers, or just stand in front of my humidifier like by my plants to kind of get that constant humidity. So if you're like Florida, honestly, you might love it. You might just love it if you have dry skin, because your skin's getting that quench and that hydration. Maybe even California, because you guys are probably what, like in the 70 degrees right now. For me, if I wanted to keep it, I think summertime would be best when my skin is just doing the best. So that's like the only barrier. But overall, everything else was pretty great. I think just the hydration level for my dry skin just wasn't, I just need a little bit more. But everywhere else that doesn't get like extremely dry is looking great. It's just this nose area and like my forehead in general and my chin. So just like the center of my face, which I'm like, no, I don't want that. I want perfection. I want the perfection that basically the Pro Filter Hydrating Foundation gives me. So I'm probably just going to get, because this is my summer shade, so I'm going to return this probably and get my shade 260, and I'm gonna just go with that until Fenty answers my requests and creates just something a little bit more hydrating. Let me know if I should try their spray. In the meantime, I have like my kind of hydrating spray. But the other thing I want to mention, honestly, it held up on like the bronzer too really, really nicely. Oh, get the bronzer. Get the cream bronzer. If you are into minimal makeup, quick kind of application makeup, get the bronzer. If you want a little bit less of tools and or a mess, get the probably contour stick. I haven't tried them yet. Let me know if I need to, but I had been eyeing this cream bronzer because I remember when we were all in love with that like Chanel Tan de Soleil type of a bronzer. I don't need to spend like $60+ on something. This works beautifully. Now the question is, do I also want the next shade up? I might just, but for something, a minimal makeup look where I just kind of want a nice little added structure to my face, I freaking love this. It's so creamy. It's creamy galore for your dry skin, where it just like glides on. It's not too overly pigmented, and it just blends out like a dream. It blends out easily. So if you guys have been eyeing this, I would, if you're gonna buy the Eaze drops, get the bronzer. Like, it's just a beautiful little like Eaze duo. And of course, if you want for a little added coverage, I get the concealer. I just got like a shade that works for like an everyday. I'm not trying to highlight specifically for my dry skin, shade 240. But even though this Eaze drop did not work for me fully like I would want. Maybe I just have high expectations according to my therapist. I still really enjoyed it. I think it's overall a great product. And if you are dry skin, let me know where you're living, if you try it out, and if it does work for you. Not saying that it can't work for dry skin. It works pretty well for dry skin. It's just like, I know we can have some extra hydration, but I hope you all enjoyed this review and demo of the Fenty Eaze drops, especially if you're dry skin, looking for a little bit of info, should you not. I mean, if you really are curious, depending where you're living, and if maybe your dry skin is dry but not super dry and you've got some extra humidity, check it out. Get it at Sephora. If you don't like it, return it, you know, and exchange it for the Pro Filter Hydrating Foundation, which that's probably what I will do this weekend. But once again, Fenty does not let you down. If Fenty like has products that don't work for you, I feel like they have like alternative products to try out, or they then cater to you later on. So I'm gonna just wait on this one, but still super glad I tried it out. So hope everybody enjoy. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can keep up with the rest of my videos, and I'll see you all next time.